He played for the Colts, Cardinals, and the Ravens. So I'm really looking forward to this interview, and truly an honor for you to be joining the show today. And first of all, how are you and your family doing during this tough situation? Obviously, we're into a new year, and hopefully some positive news comes out. And a happy birthday to your son.
I appreciate it. Yeah, today, February 2nd, my middle son just turned 6 years old. And I mean, we're good. Family-wise, we're good. Just adapting just like everybody else, trying to make best of what we can. Not really trying to do too much, trying to stay safe as possible, but also still live our lives and do the things that we need to do. But, same old, man. I can't complain, actually. Can't complain at all.
Yeah. So for you, when you were growing up, when did you start playing football and picking up the ball? And who is that one person that you looked up to while growing up in football?
I was 6 years old when I first started playing football, and I don't know if I just had a favorite, like where I'm from, like we used to really look up to like the high school players and stuff like that. Like I used to idolize the high school players a lot when I was a young kid growing up, just always dreaming and thinking about, whenever I was going to get into high school and do the things that they were doing. I mean, I used to look at our high school guys as superstars growing up, but outside of that, I'll probably say Deion Sanders. I didn't know Deion Sanders at the time, obviously. Now I do, but during that time, I didn't know him. But everything that he did, far as on the football field, the way he represented himself, the flashiness, the confident talk. He didn't lack confidence at all. So I want to say, growing up as a kid, Deion Sanders definitely had an influence on me and my football career, and just trying to mimic the high steps and doing those things as a kid. Like people still doing that today. I mean, he definitely changed the culture and changed the game from the defensive back position. And he was definitely somebody that I idolized and wanted to be like growing up.
So where are you guys located, by the way?
We're in Alabama, North Alabama, right outside Huntsville. Yep.
Roll Tide, let's go, Roll Tide.
Nah, War Eagle. We gotta say War Eagle. My wife actually graduated from Bama though, so yeah. The son that Jagger, his birthday today. My middle son, he's actually an Alabama fan. They actually went to Alabama's campus today to celebrate. So yeah, he's on the Alabama campus as we speak.
So did you, when you were growing up, did you play other sports other than football, or was football mainly your focus when you were?
No, I played everything. I played baseball, I played basketball. Growing up, basketball was my favorite sport. Growing up, I didn't like football initially. I guess it would probably the contact, the hitting, the physical part. To play football, you really got to be dedicated. There's just a lot of stuff that goes on in the football. It's not like any other sport where you can kind of get by.
Right.
If you play football and you hate it, you're definitely gonna quit. You're not gonna continue to kill yourself in practices and get hit every day and all that type of stuff. So I had a hard time liking football my first couple years of playing, but I played basketball, thought I was going to be the next Allen Iverson. I played baseball, wanted to be like Kenny Lofton and Ken Griffey Jr. I played soccer in middle school. I played soccer as well. So I was a kid that I just loved sports. It didn't matter what it was. If we was able to compete in it, I loved it. Never played on a tennis team, but loved to play tennis during my NFL career in the off season for agility and cardio. Just any sport you can think of, from bowling to golf to soccer, basketball, all that type of stuff. I'm all in. I'm all for it. So I was one of those kids that just liked everything. So.
Wow. So in high school, when you were playing football in high school, obviously some of these coaches like to play you guys in multiple positions just to get ready for college. But for you, you do get to play multiple positions other than defensive back?
Yeah, I was a wide receiver as well. I was a backup running back as well, and I was a backup quarterback as well. And this was at the time at I guess a decent sized high school. At the time we had 6 classifications. We was a 6A school, but we was a small 6A school. So still a big school, and just speaking on hindsight, and I was a backup in all those positions. So I started at wide receiver, started at defensive back, and was a backup running back and backup emergency quarterback if anything happened.
Wow, what was that experience like, being a backup emergency quarterback?
It was cool because even though I was a backup, we used to always have like little plays and little packages that I'll come in the game and get some reps regardless. But if our starting quarterback was to get hurt, our high school team would have been in trouble because I really wasn't suit for quarterback. I was just an athlete back there making plays. But the quarterback position was cool. I mean, you had to learn a lot. Everything's on your shoulders and whatnot. But then again, when you're one of the best athletes on the field, you kind of can make, whatever position you play happen.
So speaking of emergency backup quarterback, I'm sure you saw the game during the regular season with the Broncos when they had no quarterback and they had to go to one of their wide receivers. When you saw that, did you reach out to him, give him any advice about that, or?
Nah, I can't give him no advice on a professional level. That's a little different. Now, if he was in high school or something, I probably could have hollered at him, gave him a tip or two. But when it comes to quarterback play on a professional level, for him to get put in that situation, I want to say he got called the morning of or the night before. He got called and said he was going to have to, play that role for that day or whatnot, and that's tough. I mean, in the NFL game, we see it every week. You can't win without a good quarterback on your team, and you know how hard it is to play that position. So for him to be able to start and play that position and finish the game per se, just finish the game, because I want to say he haven't took any quarterback reps in years. They had to go back to his past just to see who played quarterback in their career or whatnot. But for him to do that, I mean, that just lets you know how much talent is in the NFL. I mean, you got a bunch of guys that played a bunch of different positions throughout their whole career, just trying to find their niche, make a honest living. And for him to do that, that'll be something talked about forever. I want to say his gloves or something might be in the Hall of Fame or something like that, to where it was the first time anything like that ever happened. So I want to say they normally keep memorabilia just to keep the history of the game live.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
I could be wrong in saying that, but I'm pretty sure they got some memorabilia from him that's in the Hall of Fame, just to keep the history of the game with everything that happened that's never happened before still fresh.
Mm-hmm. So before we get to your college career, what did you learn in high school as a football player with your coaching staff and your teammates, and what did they tell you when you got ready for college?
The main thing I learned probably from high school was just coming to work every day. We had to come to work. It wasn't like that we was building on, I guess it wasn't like that we would try to stay in the past. I guess, if you had a good day the day before, whenever you return for practice the next day, it was forgotten. It was a fresh new day. So I think the high school I came from just taught me how to work. It taught me how to every day I stepped in the facility, stepped in the field house. I can't just rely on my talent. I can't just rely on things that I'd done the day before or that game that happened the week before. I had to come out and earn it again. So it was a blue collar type football atmosphere where I came from, to where every day we was expected to work and work hard. So,
how many offers did you get coming out of high school, and what made you choose Auburn?
I want to say I probably ended up with 14, 15 offers, somewhere around there, I believe. And I knew from the jump, as soon as I started getting recruited, that I was going to be an in-state guy, whether that was the University of Alabama or Auburn University. And when I took my visits and did all that, went through the whole recruiting process, I kind of let my mom be the tipping point. I was kind of split in the middle between Alabama and Auburn. I didn't necessarily grow up an Auburn fan or grow up an Alabama fan or anything like that. I was more so rooting for players. And so when it came down for me to make my decision, it wasn't like I had a preference. Felt like the same opportunity was going to happen at Auburn that I would get at the University of Alabama. So I ended up letting my mom be in the tipping hat of that decision, and she just felt more comfortable with me at Auburn, and I was good with that decision. And my 4 years at Auburn was, 4 of the best years of my life. So I felt like we made the right decision for sure.
Yeah, obviously Auburn is a top team in the country. And so speaking of Auburn, I had Jason Campbell on my show last year too. Did you get to play with him in Auburn or?
I did. I missed J Cam by 1 year. The year he got drafted, 14th overall, 17th overall, that first round. That was my recruiting year. So on my visits and all those things, the year that they went undefeated, that 2004 year, I was coming to Auburn to hang out with those guys as a high school senior. They were the ones that kind of was telling me the culture and what to expect, the family atmosphere, how much I would love it and all those things. Him, Ronnie B, Carlos Rogers, all those guys were in that same class. And every time I visited, they made sure I knew that Auburn was going to be the place for me.
So what was your experience like playing in Auburn in the SEC and competing every year and playing against Alabama, like that's considered a rivalry right there, and playing in front of those fans in Auburn? What was the atmosphere like for you?
Oh, it was great. Growing up as a kid and just watching it, watching the Iron Bowl and watching, the greats that come from Alabama, the greats that come from Auburn, and, always visualizing yourself one day, being able to play in the Iron Bowl. It was just great. It was a great experience. We don't have any professional teams here at the state of Alabama. And so everybody treats Auburn and Alabama like a professional team. So it was a pretty big deal for me and my family, my community, the area I was from, my high school, everybody that was connected with me. It was a big deal because we knew on Saturdays the whole town was watching, the whole city, the whole state was watching Alabama or watching Auburn. And I wanted to represent where I came from well. It was a great experience. 2005, I redshirted. And I want to say we went 9-3, 9-2. 2006, we went 12-2. 2007, we slipped up, lost a few games, but we were ranked top 10 at one point of that season. So I had a great experience, going against guys like Percy Harvin, your Tebows, your guys at Georgia, your Matt Staffords and Muhammad Massaquoi. Wow. I got AJ Green when he was a freshman, got Julio when his freshman year. The LSUs, I want to say they had, the Joe Adaz, the Dwayne Bowles, all those guys. It was just great, going against Arkansas, Peyton Hillis and Darren McFadden and Felix Jones. And, it was a time to where every team had their guys and, everybody was, pretty decent. Wasn't nobody just going undefeated every year in the SEC then. Everybody was, it was a pretty balanced league, I would say, around that time. And it was a great experience, going on the road to LSU, going to going to Georgia, to Ole Miss when, Mike Wallace and Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis and all those guys and Darius McCluster and all them guys was there. It was just fun just because you knew every week you had to bring your A game because those guys across from you was definitely going to try to expose you and try to, do what they can to embarrass you on Saturdays. So, it was always fun to compete versus guys like that week in and week out.
Yeah, speaking of Peyton Hillis, he was that dude back in the day when it comes to running back, man. This guy, he's a stud. And I think it was injuries, right? That cut his career short. Injuries.
Yeah, injuries. He had a nice little moment. His time with the Browns, I want to say he was the NFL's rushing leader. I forget the year, but that's the year he got on the Madden cover. Yep. And a lot of people have forgot that Peyton Hillis was that type of guy. Just because, after his freshman year, he was a year older than Darren McFadden and Felix Jones. And he was good. He was the guy at Arkansas. And then when those guys came, a lot of people forgot just because of how good those guys were. But as soon as Peyton Hillis got to the league, he was very successful early and did a great job. And, was one of the toughest running backs I probably had to tackle. I didn't like tackling Peyton Hillis at all. It hurt every time.
So after college, take me back to your draft experience. Obviously, you got drafted in 2009, round 3, pick 92 with the Colts. So what was that experience like, getting drafted by the Indianapolis Colts? And then what was it like just spending time with your family, waiting for your name to get called? And what was your reaction once your name got called by the Colts?
It was stressful. Outside when you know you're a first rounder or for sure second rounder, you don't really stress about the draft just because you know your name's gonna get called. You know, you're gonna go in the slot, whatever you're projected. But outside of that first and second round, depending on who goes and what team needs and, some other things, you just never know how the ball was going to play. I had teams call me in the second round saying that they were going to draft me in the second round. And then when that didn't happen, I was almost on, I don't want to say panic mode, but it kind of pissed me off a little bit just because it was guys getting drafted that I thought I was better than. Film wise and everything else about it. I just thought I was better and I didn't understand the business or the process of that whole thing yet. And when Indianapolis called me, when I left Auburn, a lot of people thought I was crazy for leaving Auburn as a junior and, entering the draft. People said that I wasn't going to get drafted or anything like that, but I knew I was good enough and knew I would get my opportunity in the NFL. So when Indianapolis called me, I actually hung the phone up on Bill Polian when he first called because his first question was, like, how are you doing? And it was a normal, introduction type call, but I didn't know it was Bill Polian. So when he asked me how I was doing, I kind of snapped. It was just like, man, all these guys getting drafted, whatever. And he starts laughing and I hang up the phone. And he calls back and he was like, hey, I'm the president and the GM of the Indianapolis Colts. We're about to pick you with the next pick. Go to the TV. And he's laughing about it. And I hang up again. Damn. And run to the TV and, my name gets called, like you said, 90 or 92nd pick.
So 92 round 3, yeah.
92, yeah. So it was kind of cool to be in the top 100, especially when a lot of people had doubted me about even entering the draft. And so being a top 100 player, out of however many players that entered the draft that year, it was an amazing feat. I had to call Bill Polian back and apologize and everything. So it was a cool moment, cool experience. But I did hang up on my boss the first time I got to talk to him.
And Bill Polian is a legend too.
Yeah, Hall of Fame.
So did he get on you for that when you went to the?
No. It was a joke. He understands the pressure and what we were going through. And at that time, like I said, I want to say I probably had just got an iPhone. I couldn't afford an iPhone before then. I think I had just got an iPhone, and that was around the time when they put like the area code pop up on the number. So it was a 317 area code, and it said Indianapolis on the bottom. Damn. But it didn't register me that it was the Indianapolis Colts. So when we talked, he was just laughing about it, and I was laughing about it. And it started off a great relationship for the 4 years I was there. Indianapolis is a first class organization. From top to bottom, they ran it well. And I was blessed enough to, be drafted to a team that had so many veterans, a team that had just went to the Super Bowl a couple years prior, a veteran team. So I literally was able to just go to Indianapolis and just fit right in. I ain't have to say nothing, but just do my job because they already had leadership, the veterans, everything was in place in Indy. And like I said, first class organization, love my time in Indy.
Yeah, cool. Your defense was amazing, I think, that year. And you played with, obviously, Antoine Bethea, right, was there at that time. And then you had Vontae Davis. Gary Brackett, too, right, was there. And
yeah, Gary Brackett, Dwight Freeney, Robert Matthews, Melvin Bullitt. A lot of guys. Had Kelvin Hayton, had a bunch, Marlon Jackson, a bunch of good guys.
So for you as a defensive back, what was it like just playing on that defense and knowing every game that you guys had other studs around you and you don't have to worry about anything else, but just to get to the 4 downs and make sure they punt the ball and make sure your offense gets on the field because you had Peyton Manning that year too. So what was it like just having that type of defense that can help your offense out every game pretty much?
It was fun. The defense we was on that year, when you got, this is prime Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis era. So, I didn't really have to do much on the back end, but cover for about 3 seconds because I knew those guys was going to get to the quarterback. And like you said, we had playmakers just all around us. Like you said, Gary Brackett in the middle, Antoine Bethea in the back end that's helping everybody. Like I say, Melvin, Tim Jennings was even on our team. And like, we just had some talent. And then, like you said, on the offensive side of the ball, we had Peyton, we had Reggie, we had Dallas Clark, Austin Collie, Joe Adai. We had so many just, good players that we kind of just fed off of one another. I mean, it was a blessing to have Peyton as your quarterback, knowing it wasn't a lead, safe. We knew that if we were ever down or if we ever struggled, Peyton could get us through. But on that same token, we were able to get Peyton and the offense through a few games as well. So it was good that we kind of balanced and piggybacked off each other, and it was a fun year.
Yeah, so before we get to Antoine Bethea, I want to ask you about Coach Tony Dungy. What was it like playing underneath him? A legend coach, obviously, and he's doing great stuff at NBC Sports right now, and NBC covering the Sunday Night Football games. But what was it like just playing underneath him?
So I actually missed Tony one year. Tony. Oh. Yeah. I had Jim Caldwell.
Oh, Jim Caldwell
actually drafted me. Yeah, Tony. He had decided to retire that off season. So I remember when I first got to Indy, though, he was actually in the building.
Okay.
And I was able to meet and talk to him and all that. But Jim Caldwell was actually my head coach, which he's a Tony Dungy disciple, almost identical, the way they talk, the way they act, their philosophies, just how they go about their routine, their daily routine and things like that. I mean, it was just a blessing. It was actually the first time I ever had a coach that didn't yell. And I didn't know how to, at first, I thought it was just maybe, nobody pissed them off enough. Maybe we were just, doing all the right things and, we haven't pissed them off enough to yell. But after my 4 years of, being under Coach Caldwell, that's how he was. He was one of those coaches that, he was going to respect you as a man. He was going to treat you and talk to you as a man. He wasn't going to disrespect you in any type of way that made it feel personal. It was never personal with him. He kept it football, but he also showed us just, things about how to take care and present yourself to where you ain't got to do it the way that everybody else says that you have to do it. Coach Caldwell and Coach Dungy are two coaches that, if you put up an NFL head coach, like they might not be the first two that you think of just off of their style, but when you go and look at what they do, I think they both will be remembered as two of probably some of the best NFL coaches have seen just off of their philosophies along in their approach to the game. Like I said, they're not rah-rah guys. They got other ways and other methods of getting their point across, which worked because both of them was very successful as head coaches.
Jim Caldwell deserves another chance in NFL, man. This guy is a heck of a coach.
No question. I mean, you get fired from Detroit after going 10-6.
Yeah,
I think you went 10-6 that year, and they fired him. That shouldn't happen in the NFL. In Indy, we had a bad year that 2011 year. I think we won maybe 3 games or something like that. Then Peyton had the neck issue, so it was just time for a rebuild in Indy. So that maybe you can say is understandable with them moving on then, but he probably should still be the head coach in Detroit, in my opinion. They never should have got rid of Jim.
So, like I said earlier, I had Antoine Bethea on my show, and it was an honor talking to him too. And obviously, he announced his retirement recently. So, what do you like? What did you like about playing with him? Obviously, one of the best safeties in the game, in my opinion. And what was it like being his teammate? And what was your reaction when he announced his retirement?
I kind of knew about it. Me and Antoine, we talk all the time. That's one of my best friends. We're still all in the same group messages and all of that. So he was a mentor of mine as soon as I got to Indy and was blessed enough to meet and become friends with a guy like Antoine, because he represents and stands for so much. He's a family man. He comes from a good household, brothers, his mom, his dad. The whole HBCU, route that he had to take, and, some of the struggles and the things that, he had to go through to get to where he's at. It's just a blessing to see a guy like that play 14, 15 years in the NFL and, what he does in his community. with his foundation and again, how he treats people, how he respects people. That's one of the biggest attributes to Antoine and the way he goes about his business. So, I mean, I'm still learning from Antoine to this day. We still do a lot together. I mean, it was just a blessing to be his teammate, to be drafted as a young guy to a leader in our secondary, which he was. He taught me a bunch of the things that I carried on for my whole career. He taught me my rookie year. So, I feel like I'm forever and, thankful for my time and playing with Antoine and our relationship off the field as well.
Mm-hmm. I'll send you my interview with him after this one so you can check it out. And have you been on his podcast yet? The Man to Man podcast with Darius Butler?
Yeah. I've been on there a couple times. Those are my guys. DB, that's my dude.
Yeah. So not only you play for the Colts, you play for the Cardinals and the Ravens, two other great organizations in the NFL. So what was it like playing in Arizona and Baltimore? And you played with a lot of great players there too in Arizona and Baltimore. What was it like just playing with those two other teams?
Arizona was cool too. When I first got to Arizona, they was trying to change the culture. They had a couple bad seasons or whatnot. So we was trying to, get the culture changed. And that's when Bruce Arians became the head coach. And, we had a good group, in the secondary, me, Rashad Johnson, and Pat P, and Tywin Matthews, Tony Jefferson, DJ Swaginger. We had so many good players in that secondary. And what makes that funny is, when I got to Arizona, it was my 5th year in the league, and I was the oldest player in the secondary. Me and Rashad was the oldest vets in the secondary, and I was still a young guy. Wow. So we had to mature fast. You had, upcoming superstars like Tywin Matthews and Pat P and those guys that, they needed some veteran type leadership just around them on a daily basis. And, it was a blessing to be able to play with those guys for 3-4 years and develop the relationships that we have because, just like I was just talking about Antoine Bethea, it's the same with Ty and Pat and Tony and all those guys as well. The relationship that we developed through football, it carried on off the field to the point that we're taking trips. We're hanging out with families, we're going to each other's houses and spending time. We're still checking on each other's kids, and doing all those things. So that was a blessing because in Arizona, I was looked at as a leader, as that veteran leadership, in Indy, I had to grow into that, being drafted as a rookie and, trying to just earn your stripes. By the time I got to Arizona, I felt like my stripes had earned and people looked at me like that veteran leader that I always envisioned myself. So, that helped me grow as a player in my time in Arizona.
So speaking of, what was it like playing with a legend receiver, Larry Fitzgerald, who's still going, and the GOAT?
It was good. I mean, you see, somebody like Larry, I mean, even Reggie Wayne, just seeing those guys, their routine and what they do on a day-to-day basis as far as work and watching film. And then, of course, what they do on Sundays. I mean, you just don't see stuff like that. I mean, so to see it up close and personal, I mean, some of the catches I've seen these dudes make in practice, like it's just amazing. Like those routine one-handed catches they be doing in the games that people be in awe about, that ain't none compared to some of the catches they've done in practice in close coverage and all that. But how Larry will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I want to say he's number 2 on every statistical category for career wise, and he's a great guy, great dude, great guy. If it's one person you want a teammate to be like, you want Larry, just because at the end of the day, he's a resource and he don't mind using his resources to help you. He's one of those players that if he can do it or if he can help you, he's going to help you. He's not unapproachable. He's not one of those guys that stay to himself, don't want to be bothered. He's very much that guy in the locker room that's wrestling with people, that's arguing about what basketball game was on the night before, or whatever the case may be. Larry's a great guy and was a great teammate as well.
So what was your experience in Baltimore? What did you like about Baltimore, playing in front of those fans, and what was the atmosphere in Baltimore?
The Baltimore, again, first class organization. I thought Coach Harbaugh do a great job on far as just how he's handling the players. A lot of people say it changed from the time that when he first became a head coach until I guess the era that we're in now. But when I got there in 2016, I thought it was great. It reminded me of Indy, how the organization was ran from top to bottom, just good people. Everybody's on the same page and everybody wants to win. I'm talking from the cooks to the janitor to the barber that's in there to the money guy upstairs. Like everybody was on the same page. And those are the type of organizations that you want to go out there and play for, because again, you don't like to go to places to where people seem to be unapproachable. Baltimore, you can go in Coach Harbaugh office whenever you feel like you need to talk about something. You can go to Ozzie Newsome, who was the GM at the time. He was the same way. It was an open door policy to where, these guys wanted the players to feel as comfortable as possible, because they knew at the end of the day, that was one of the keys to winning, is everybody feeling comfortable within their own realm. But, playing on that team with, Terrell Suggs, Joe Flacco, Steve Smith, Ladarius Webb, all these guys, some of the guys I got drafted with, and all these guys, you just see the ends on why a program or organization like Baltimore's been good for however many years. Every year, that they're going to be good or have some type of shot to win the division just off of how their organization is ran. It don't matter what linebacker is on that team. That linebacker is going to be one of the better linebackers in the NFL. It don't matter what new pass rusher they got. He's going to end up one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. Those guys do a good job in selecting the guys that fit Baltimore's system year in, year out. And that's why those guys are good every year.
Yeah, they have they're known for defense, and they have a heck of a defense. And but for you, how grateful are you to be in this position and to be able to play the game that you love and play for three great organizations in the NFL, play with a lot of great legend players? So how grateful are you to be in this position?
Very grateful. You're talking about a 5'10", 185 corner that a lot of people was doubting in high school, said I wasn't big enough to play big time football in the SEC. Then you get to the SEC, you get to school, you get to the SEC, then they say you're not big enough to play in the NFL. Then you get to the NFL, you become a starter, every year of your career, and you continue to beat the odds. So when I look back on my career and see some of the experiences and some of the players I played with and some of the coaches that I was able to be coached by, I'm blessed just because at the end of the day, I felt like I wasn't supposed to make it. And for me to make it a career and be successful and be looked at and respected by my peers, it's a blessing. I'm still young now, and, to be able to walk away from the game without an injury causing me to walk away from the game. Well, I walked away from the game because I was just ready for whatever the next phase in life was going to be. You can't, not too many people can say that. Normally it's always an injury or Father Time letting you know that your time is up, and my story is a little different. I'm healthy and feeling good for the most part anyway. I've had injuries, but I feel good for the most part, and just blessed to be in this position.
All right, let me ask you this. Is there any chance of a comeback for you?
No chance for a comeback for me. Now, do I feel like I can still get out there and get it done? Yeah. I'm working with DBs daily, training DBs, and I put on my cleats about 2 or 3 times a week. I got these cleats on, doing drills and stuff with some of my DBs. But you get out there on that field on Sunday, it's a different speed out there, man. I feel like I might pop both of my hamstrings off the ball, and if I get out there trying to chase people, but I do still mentally think I can get it done.
So I do this rapid fire segment on the show, but before we get to that, I want this is really important. So me and my co-host Alyssa, we partnered up with the Hugh Jackson Foundation, and obviously he's a former head coach in the NFL, and he's trying to come back in coaching. And their foundations is all about helping prevent human trafficking and making sure the community is safer and making sure these kids make the right choices. And we're ambassadors for them, and we're trying to help them to prevent human trafficking. So when you get a chance, I'll send you the Hugh Jackson page so you can check that out and see what they're all about. So it's really inspiring what they're doing.
Cool. Yeah, do that.
Yeah. So you ready for this rapid fire segment?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Kawhi Leonard's laugh or Kevin Hart's laugh?
Kawhi.
Favorite food?
Chicken.
Toughest receiver that you had to cover?
Randy Moss.
Oh wow. What was it like? What was it like playing against him?
Felt like both of my hamstrings was gonna fall off the bone. But funny though, Randy's the most countryest guy I probably ever faced, and he's one of those guys that you kind of just live in the moment when you're guarding him, just because Randy Moss and what he's done for the NFL.
So obviously you were teammates with Tywin Matthews, and now seeing him succeed in a high level with the Kansas City Chiefs, going to the Super Bowl playing this weekend. So what's it like seeing him succeed and potentially going for another ring?
It's kind of everything that we talked about his rookie year. His rookie year, we used to have a bunch of talks about the future and kind of what's to be expected or whatnot. And, me and a bunch of other people used to tell Ty all the time that at some point you're going to be on the main stage year in, year out. And that's what he's been doing. Every team that he's been on, he's had a huge impact on, whether that's little league, high school, college, pro. You looked at his impact in Arizona. You look at his impact when he was with Houston for the 1 year. Now you look at the impact with the Kansas City Chiefs. Everywhere the guy goes, he wins. And I think it's a culture thing with him. I think it's a confidence that he brings to his team, a confidence that he brings to guys that probably don't have the natural confidence that you probably should have to be on that level. Ty, for whatever reason, can get it out you and make you believe that you can do something that you never imagined doing. And you can see it just start to trickle down and trickle out, in that Kansas City organization. I know Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes, don't get me wrong. But I do think that Tyron, the honey badger is what most people call him. But I do think that Tyron, is playing a big role in far as that culture over there and getting guys to believe that they can get things done.
So I'm just curious, obviously you're close with him. So are you the type of person that reaches out to him during Super Bowl week, or you just leave them alone until after the Super Bowl?
Naturally, sometimes you just talk naturally. Ty, like I won't be hitting Ty up or anybody I know up in the Super Bowl that I know that's playing in the Super Bowl this week, just because of me. Like I went to the Super Bowl 2009, my rookie year, and just everything that you're dealing with this week, you don't really got time for too much extra stuff. So I know his phone and people's phone is ringing off the hooks with text messages, the social media probably going crazy. So, you don't want to be any more distraction than what's already been thrown at them. But that don't necessarily mean we won't talk. He might reach out, which he did maybe a couple of days ago. We talked. But it didn't have nothing to do with football. But I won't be reaching out to nobody who's in the Super Bowl, just because I just want them to focus on the game itself, because it'll be the biggest game of their lives.
Yeah. So speaking of your Super Bowl run in 2009 and your rookie, to be able to go there first year, what was that like? Just being experiencing the big game, and what did you guys do like mentally before the game on that day? Just to say mentally.
We stayed to our routine. The Super Bowl is amazing. Everything about it is amazing, except losing. But you don't do anything different. You stick to your routine. You might have some extra time here and there just to watch some extra film and do what you do. But you want to just continue to do what got you there. So you don't want to do nothing out of the ordinary. Just continue to stick to your routine and do what you do and go out there and try to get the job done. So our Super Bowl week in 2009 in Miami, we really just stuck to our routines the best way we could. We tried to make Miami feel like Indianapolis the best way we could, just so when we stepped out there on Sunday, nothing felt different. We wanted everything to feel the same.
So that was, if I'm not mistaken, you played the Bears, right, that year in the Super Bowl?
We played the Saints. They beat the Bears in 2007, I think, 6. They beat the Bears. Coach beat the Bears. Yeah.
So for you, what was your most memorable game that you played in Auburn and the NFL?
Auburn, I'll just say the Iron Bowl just because of the magnitude of it and what it means to the state and families and friends and everything that goes into that. In the NFL, I would probably say, I want to say the Super Bowl. I mean, we lost the Super Bowl, but yeah, I'm going to say the Super Bowl just because of the experience, everything that you kind of dream of as a kid, you know, playing in the Super Bowl and doing all that and finally getting there and actually playing in it. Definitely it would be one of the most memorable games that, you know, I played in the NFL. I mean, I've had some other memorable ones, but I don't think any of the other games I'm thinking of trump a trip to the Super Bowl.
So for you, who is the most funniest person, teammate that you played with?
Tony Jefferson for sure.
Yeah. So before we get to the last two things, would you like to say anything to the haters that hated on you throughout your career?
the Twitter haters, I still got all of them blocked.
Oh,
I was a big blocker on the Twitter page. But nah, man, I don't got no haters, man. So it's 2021. We're about spreading positivity.
yeah.
You know, we just had a bunch of hatred stuff going on the past 4 years. So I mean, we got to move on from this hatred, start spreading this love again, and get back out and you know, doing the human thing that we're supposed to do, which is serve one another. So we got to start spreading that love again.
No, I'm just throwing some fun out there.
And I'm saying that jokingly too, but trying to be serious with it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But the last two things here before I let you go, this is a question I've been bringing up to all my guests about the late Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and all the people that were involved in the horrible crash. And obviously, last month was his 1 year anniversary, but of the death. And do you guys have any like Kobe memories, Gianna memories, and you guys remember where you were at that day when it happened?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually in the room I'm in now. I was actually here. I didn't believe it. You know, Kobe was my favorite basketball player. He actually trumped Jordan for me. Jordan was my favorite, and Kobe ended up taking that. And no, that it was big. I didn't believe it for the longest. I didn't believe it. I mean, you know, you're talking about a guy that I used to feel like is immortal. So you know, when all that happened, man, it was devastating for everybody, you know, especially our household. I mean, it was the first time I probably shed tears and crying about a passing that I've never met Kobe. So it was the first time I shed tears over somebody I never met. So that should just let you know the impact and what I thought about him personally, you know, from his mentality to his work ethic, how he played the game, his competitiveness, all of that. You know, I used to try to, you know, put a little dosage of him into my game and what I did. So shout out to Kobe, 1 year passing last month, his daughter, everybody else that was on that helicopter ride as well. And now we're still feeling the effects of, you know, that tragic moment, you know, to this day. So big Kobe fan. And I was sitting here actually in the same spot when I first heard the news about it.
Yeah, I'm the reason why I asked this question to everyone is just because he was one of my role models growing up, and I'm trying to get different perspective from each player or each person I have on the show, where they come from in the Kobe's perspective. And I had a lot of players that on the show that played with him or against him, so I got a lot of perspective from what they learned from him. But the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers? And what do you like about the NFL during this year, honoring them by giving them free tickets to come to the Super Bowl in Tampa and honoring the frontline workers like that? And I got to tell you a quick story real quick, but we had Brian McFadden on the show too last month, and he brought up the idea of this, with the giving free tickets to the frontline workers on our show. And then 2 days afterwards, we had Demarius Smith from the NFLPA on the show. And then we brought up the idea of Brian McFadden's idea to him. So I wonder if that ties into that. But what was your reaction when the NFL did that for frontline workers?
That's a good thing. I mean, the frontline workers, the nurses, the doctors. I mean, all those guys. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic to where we can't have enough of them. Everything that they're doing for us, man. I mean, it goes. I mean, I don't even know if I have the words to even sit here and tell them, you know, how much they truly mean to our society and to our world. I mean, without them, there's no telling what would have happened with everything that's going on. And for the NFL to do that, I mean, of course, I mean, it's a great gesture. And I'm glad that they're doing it. But I also think the NFL should have been doing stuff like this. I mean, I know we were in a pandemic, so it kind of highlighted the importance of our frontline workers. But even if this wasn't a pandemic, those frontline workers are still, you know, a major centerpiece and a major part of how we live in a society. I mean, we want to stay safe. We want to be able to go to doctors and be able to have someone take care of us and, you know, give us the right medicines and all these different things. And I just feel like the NFL, NBA, other major sports should do more things like this. It should always be in the major events, them giving out 25,000 tickets. You know, the NBA All-Star game, they should always give out X amount of tickets to certain people, certain type of people that's risking their lives and their job. I mean, risking their lives every day to help save this world, pretty much. So I think it's a great gesture. I just hope that they continue to do it, even if it wasn't a pandemic going on.
Oh, I almost forgot. You got the Chiefs, right? Winning in the Super Bowl?
Oh, man. I don't know. You know, I watched the first game they played early in the year, and, you know, of course, Tyreek did his thing. But if you watch how the Bucs played the Chiefs in the second half, that's the type of game I think you're going to see in the Super Bowl. And the Bucs, if their defense been on fire, and I hope the week, you know, when you get to the Super Bowl, you get 2 weeks off. I hope that 1 week off, you know, don't throw them back, because they were in a good rhythm. They're in a good rhythm defensively. And I think it's going to be a close game. And I might have to change my pick. But right now, with Tampa being at home, and it's the second time these guys are playing, which is always hard to beat a team twice, I'm going to say Tampa, and Tom is going to win the Super Bowl in Tampa for the first time ever. I know 2020, we had a lot of, this is the first time this has happened moments in 2020. I think it's going to continue in 2021. So Tom Brady, the GOAT himself, versus the best player in the NFL, which is Pat Mahomes, is one for the ages. And I just hope it's a good, close game. And if it is a close game at the end and Tom Brady got the ball in his hands, I'm taking Tom all day.
Yeah, I got the Buccaneers winning too and making history. But there it is.
But I might change my pick before game, though. I might change my pick.
I was gonna say, why are you going against your boy Tyron?
But that's what I'm saying. Ty, my guy. I got some good friends on the Bucs too. I mean, that whole coaching staff was my coaching staff in Arizona. So Ty know those guys well. You know, those are the guys that drafted him. So it'll be some good storylines. But of course, I want my guy Ty the ball, though. I want Ty to pick Tom every time Tom throw the ball. I hope Ty get a pick. Don't get me wrong, but just knowing that coaching staff and what they've been through and the struggles, and, you know, BA finally making it to, you know, this game as a head coach. You know, I think, and with the Chiefs already winning last year, you know, I think it'll just be good for the NFL and, you know, moving forward, that the Bucs take this one. So,
yeah. So there it is. That wraps up episode 686 with former NFL defensive back Jerraud Powers. Man, it's truly an honor for you to come on the show. I'll be posting this on all social media formats so people see your story. Keep up the great work. Keep grinding, and happy birthday to your son. Happy birthday to your son again, and stay safe.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
No problem.